Hey guys, it's Rachel from the Little Green Lamb, and today I have the long-awaited book review on Two Truths and a Lie by Sara Shepard, the third book in the Lion Game series. If you're not familiar kind of with my history with this series, basically I read the first book as soon as it came out. I was super excited to read it because the Pretty Little Liars series had ended, I believe, by that point. And then I read the second book when that came out, and then the Pretty Little Liars series was, reinvigorated, came back, and I kind of left off this series. Then in 2015, I reread the first two books, started this book, and got distracted by Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. And I kept saying I was going to get to these books, get to them, and I finally felt kind of like a suspense novel and picked the series up. So by the point of filming this review, I finished the third, the fourth, the fifth, and soon I'll be starting the sixth and final book. If you're new to these book reviews, or just need a refresher, so how I kind of do my Sara Shepard book reviews are, the first half will be non-spoiler. When I'm going to spoil, I will let you know. I'll try to remember to put a timestamp in the bottom if you just want to skip to the discussion, but I'll give you forewarning in case you haven't read the book. The second half of the video will be the discussion where I have reading notes in my notebook down here, and they're kind of like theories, little insights, kind of what I think's happening. And I'll tell you guys when I think like a theory. Like, these are just my thoughts. I do not know what's going to happen in that last bit of the series. By the time you're seeing this review, I will be finished the complete series because this is going up quite later. So I'll know everything, but in the spoilers especially, try to keep the comments about the third book in general, just in case people have read the third book and they're reading the comments, but they haven't read onwards, if we could try to do that. And basically, how I rate and review my books. I review my books in 5 different categories: plot, characters, cover, suspense, and overall in terms of reading very soon, 5 out of 5, not so soon, 1 out of 5. So basically, this book takes place right after the events of the second book. All these books don't really have time gaps. It's just like continuous. And I'm trying to basically it's Emma's still trying to solve the murder. See, I read these back to back, so it's kind of, I'm trying to look at the inside flap. But she's basically, Thayer is the big mystery in this book. She's digging into Thayer's past and seeing what he had to do with Sutton's death, or if he did have something to do with Sutton's death. So that's a big question mark. And Thayer, if you need a little refresher, is, oh my gosh, I keep forgetting, Madeline's brother. I keep wanting to say Charlotte's brother. It's Madeline's brother, who Madeline is one of Sutton's closest friends, and now Emma as Sutton's closest friends. So basically, this book, I give a 5 out of 5. I really like the plot of this book. This was quite a small book. It was 280 pages, I think. So it was quite small. I was running through it. I really love Sara Shepard's books in general. I find them very entertaining. I am not a big, when it comes to mysteries, I rarely guess right. I'm really bad at it, so I find this entertaining because I usually can't guess. I have a pretty good guess, so who I think is the murderer. So I'm gonna, talk about that in the discussion part where I talk about my theories. But I found it very interesting. I found everything, it went fast. Maybe that might have been because of the page length, but nonetheless, I think it went really fast. I don't have a lot to say for these parts because they are part of a series with my non-spoilers, so I might be rushing through this. So hopefully this satisfies your non-spoiler section expectations. Characters, I give a 4.5 out of 5. Now, when I was reading this, the only characters that Sutton's friends are the people I don't think are as well developed. We have Gabby and Lily, who are the Twitter twins, and I could tell those apart. Gabby's more the, out of the group, if we're stereotyping them, Lily's more the one who's more edgy and cool, and then Gabby's more of a prepster or preppy person. So I could differentiate between them, but not too much. It took quite a while to even get that way. But Madeline and Charlotte, I cannot differentiate against. It takes me a while to put 2 and 2 together, which one's which, and I don't like the development on those characters. I feel like they're not super strong characters, but I do like Emma's characterization. I love how she is kind of embodying Sutton but putting her own spin on it and doing things differently than her sister would do. We learn more about Sutton's past a bit in this, and we get more insight into what happened that fateful night. But besides that, I really do like all the characters. Laurel, I don't like her development as well. And this might just be because it is a mystery novel and Emma's new and she's exploring these people and getting little layers. We could look at it that way. But some of the side characters I don't think are as developed as I would like in comparison to reading other Sara Shepard novels such as Pretty Little Liars, where we had little side characters I felt had more personality and I could differentiate between them if we're comparing the two works, because this series was still being written when the Pretty Little Liars series was going on. It's not like it happened before. It happened in kind of the middle of the series. So that's why I'm bringing that book as a comparison rather than comparing The Amateurs, which just came out last year. FYI. So cover, I actually give this cover a 4 out of 5. I really still like, you know, how they have the two faces, obviously the twins, they have the back. This cover though, like, doesn't totally match the series. The series has a lot of pinks and stuff in it, and I love the blues, but it doesn't, I'm giving it a point off because it doesn't particularly match. And these aren't my favorite covers in the land, but I don't find them bad covers. Like, for the series, I find them pretty good. Like, if they, I think, had more mysterious covers, it'd probably grab more people, but I think these are pretty cool, and they look really cool when you line them all up, like, face down, because all the faces kind of, they don't match up perfectly, but it looks very cool. Suspense, I give this book a 5 out of 5. I read this in, like, 2 or 3 days. I think even less than that. I think, like, oh no, I read this in 2 days. I started this Saturday, and I finished it Sunday night, beginning a week ago, so around, like, the 10th of September, something like that. Also, sorry if the light keeps going. It just keeps coming and going, like, bright and dark. But basically, really, really loved the suspense in this book. I was hooked, and I hadn't read in a while, so the first 20 pages were a bit rough for me because I hadn't read the first and second in a while, like, it'd been 2 years. But then after that, I was just like, bam, I'm in the story again. Because I didn't go back to my book review and refresh myself, which I was planning on doing. I just kind of felt like reading in that moment, and I didn't want to dissuade myself. And overall, I give the book a 5 out of 5. I definitely reread it again. It was definitely a good book in the series. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say for non-spoilers. So now we were moving into the spoiler section. I'm going to be looking down at my notebook. I'm just going to put the book over on the side. So if you watch at this point because you haven't read the book, I want to thank you for watching, and we are moving on to all my notes. I have 3 pages of notes. The third page is almost full, but not really. So my first note is I really hope we find, and I'm not going to, because also I'm talking about this just for a spoiler warning, I'm only discussing the third book. I'm not going to go into the fourth book and, like, for example, if I say a theory here and be like, oh, that's disproven, because at this point I didn't know, so these are just going to be my reactions from this book alone, just to let you know, because I did mention reading the 4th and 5th right after this, so just for your sake. So I said, I really hope we find out Thayer's deal in this book. And then I said, I'm guessing Thayer isn't the killer, also because it's the third book in the series and it's too obvious. So that was kind of one of my things with certain suspects that Sutton has had in the book, because if she has a suspect, they have to have at least a twist and come back. Like, I don't think she would peg the first person. It's kind of like, usually the first person the people suspect isn't the person, and they go after them hardcore, and the other person's in the shadows doing stuff where we don't see because we're distracted by the case. So that's kind of was my guess with that. And then I have a theory, my own theory. Did Mr. Mercer pay Thayer to leave to keep him away from his daughters? And that goes because he knew about the twins' real story. So I thought Thayer knew about Sutton and Emma being twins, and Mr. Mercer paid him off because Mr. Mercer is so adamant about not having him near the daughters. I thought he has to have known something for him to be that adamant. It's not like we know he did anything And then else. I put, why did Sutton get to go to foster care / adopted by the Mercer? Why did Sutton get to be adopted by the Mercers and not go to foster care? I said, I don't know if this was explained earlier, though theory maybe her dad, Mr. Mercer, is the twins' actual bio dad. So I thought that he has to be biologically related to them, and it has to be like their father. And then I was wondering why one of them went to foster care and one of them got adopted. So that was a big question I had. And then I just put because. Oh, I see where I put it under because he knew about the twins. That was a note going up. Then I crossed that off. Not cross it off, but put a line in between the page. So I said I'm very suspicious of Ethan. Ethan is one at this point. He is one of my top suspects. And then I said this car subplot is decent, but not overly fascinating. So kind of like when the car was in the impound and they were kind of seeing whose fingerprints were on the car because of Thayer's accident. And then I said, is Thayer being threatened by the same person Emma's being threatened by because he was acting kind of mysterious? After this flashback, I ship Sutton and Thayer, like the real Sutton and Thayer. Like, I kind of ship him and Emma too because they are kind of cute. Like, there were interactions, but not really. Like, I ship him more with the actual Sutton. Then I said, Ethan, what's Thayer going to do in terms of physical harm at the police station? Seriously, bro. Like, Ethan was so adamant. He's like, don't go to see Thayer. Don't go to see Thayer. And it's like, what's he going to do? He's not if he was a criminal mastermind and he escaped jail once before, get your point. But I'm like, Thayer's not going to go after. Like, first of all, there's policemen. Second of all, there's handcuffs. Third, cameras. Like, where is he going to go? This is also a small town. Like, people would definitely see him chasing after her or something like that. Like, I was like, that's a stupid concern. Like, my concern more so if I was Ethan, I'd be more concerned for her emotional well-being rather than her physical well-being, because that could shake her up seeing Thayer and thinking that, because at this point that's her number one suspect as well, Thayer, and thinking that he's murdered her sister. Like, I see her emotional well-being more of a concern than her physical well-being, but of course Ethan didn't think that. That's why I suspect him. The fact that both Emma and Sutton named stars is cute, and they didn't know it. That I found was a very cute twin link, and we don't get to see Emma and Sutton's really relationship. It's only really one-sided from Sutton kind of communicating with Emma, but Emma can't obviously communicate back or even understand, hear anything that Sutton's doing. But I really like that kind of link, because that's often something that's said about twins. Like, they have certain things where they can kind of feel what the other person's feeling, not necessarily like in terms of harm, but like they're very similar in certain actions. I like Mrs. Mercer. She seems like a good parent for a Sara Shepard book, because for the most part, like, she doesn't know her child's dead. That's her one fault, and couldn't identify her child, but she doesn't know her child has a twin, so I can't really blame her too much for that. But I found she's a really good book for a parent character for a Sara Shepard book, because the Pretty Little Liars characters, their parents are horrible, and I really just love the development with this family's characters, and I really love the progression, because I found in the later half of the Sara Shepard books, the parents got a little bit better, some of them, and some of them had more of a formed personality. But I found Mrs. Mercer's probably my favorite parent that's been in any of her books, because I just feel like she's a really good character. So I said the more I read about Ethan, the more suspicious I get. And then I said OMG Laurel's calendar, because she had like Thayer's initials, like TV, on the calendar, and then crossed it off and put a heart on top of that and like colored it in. So I was very confused about that. And then I said I'm really interested to see why Mr. Mercer has been so moody. He's been very quiet and really weird. And then I said this all having the keys to each other's house thing is interesting. Like, it does lead the possibility for it the murder being in the friend group, or the person who at least was like trying to hurt Emma. And I said I wanted to know more about Charlotte. And then I said all the characters in this series are so mysterious. It's very hard for me to get a good read on anybody. I really want to know what the letters say. I love mysterious letters, so the letters between Thayer and Sutton, I really wanted to be able to read those, but obviously we only got a little bit of snippet from that. Then I said page 139, all her secret boyfriends. Does Sutton have more? Maybe Ethan. So my kind of guess was at this point was that maybe, which this hasn't, obviously we don't know all the secrets, so this is like my reaction just for this book, but basically my theory was, this is all her secret boyfriends, so I think that's Garrett saying that, and I thought maybe Ethan and her were dating and something went wrong and Ethan killed her, but she told him that she had twins. No, she had twins. She was a twin. That was kind of my guess. And actually reading this makes me think of like a different theory, like melding some of this theory with a new theory I have, which I'm very interested to talk about. And then I said, since Ethan's room is devoid of personality, could he be lying about his residence? It might be far-fetched. So I thought his room, like, they doesn't really describe it. It's very devoid of personality or anything. Does he actually live there? Is he posing as somebody else? Like, everybody else knows him, but like how well, you know? And then I said I really like how Alex has a continued presence in the book and is not a forgotten about character. So Alex is Emma's friend from Las Vegas or Nevada, which is in Las Vegas. Yeah, that's just, yeah. Trying to remember my states, cities, all that. I'm Canadian. I didn't have a thorough education on that. But yeah, I really like how she's not a forgotten character. They have mentioned her again. Then I said that hiding place in the Barbie's dress is brilliant. So Sutton had the key to, I guess, the bottom part of her locker under a Barbie's dress, which I thought that was a pretty good hiding place. I'm like, that's pretty brilliant. And then I said, tell Ethan about the prank, Emma. Like, so the prank, they're going to prank Ethan. And I thought she should at least tell him so they can kind of make up a plan to avoid him, you know, like getting embarrassed. But, of course, she didn't yet. So I said, why is Garrett watching Emma? Does he know that something is up? Because he's been lurking in the shadows the whole book. And Garrett seems like in the book a pretty popular guy. Like, I know Sutton is the most popular girl, but it's like, legitimately, if you're the most popular guy, you could literally probably go after most people in the school and they would fawn over you just because of your status. Not everybody, but, you know, the people that want to be popular or genuinely like him, I guess. Like, won't be totally rude, but I was like, why is he following her? Like, of all people, like, yeah, she broke his heart, but, like, it's not like you don't have any status or anything in the school. Like, he doesn't seem super dimensional where I'm like, oh, his feelings would be hurt that long. I don't know. Then I said I'm interested to read about what SPH, the initials, mean, which is Thayer's tattoo says SPH on him. I said that flashback in chapter 19 is intense. Ethan sure blames Emma a lot. Like, gee, she's trying to get the hang of being in her / taking over a twin she's never met's life. Like, he does kind of blame her for a lot of things. It's like she has, like, not only is it, like, difficult sometimes navigating school, activities, balancing a whole schedule that you did not create, you haven't been a part of, and being thrown into somebody else's life and their schedule and having to pretend to be them and take over everything, forget all your other relationships, trying to find a murderer, and he's blaming her constantly. And it's like, dude, like, she's dealing with a lot of crap. Like, just be calm. Like, I know it's kind of annoying for you because you're used to seeing Sutton actually, and like, but she's not. Like, she's a whole different person. Said I like nice Sutton, so like Emma, I like how she's being nice as Sutton and using her popularity for good sometimes. Not always, but you know, sometimes. And then it said SPH, we found out what that means. It stands for a psychiatric hospital. So I asked, what is it, like a cult-like hospital? Because, like, getting a tattoo, like, you know, I automatically think, like, that's odd to me. So I'm like, cult, maybe? Then I said the outcome of the first prank towards Ethan gives him motive for being a murderer, because they did prank him once, and that kind of ruined his scholarship. And that's a big deal. Like, a scholarship, I don't know what it was a scholarship for, but still, scholarships in general are a big deal, especially if Ethan's position, when we know he doesn't come from much, that can make or break somebody, and gives him motive. And I said that abandoned house is very creepy, the one they were throwing the party in. And I said maybe it's Thayer's drama that Emma is wrapped up in. I forget what that's in reference to. Then I said, Emma, admit to Thayer that you're pretending to be Sutton and work together to figure out who killed Sutton. I thought she should admit it to him because he is very suspicious about it, and she knows that he wasn't the murderer at this point. Or, like, in the books, that's what she kind of has found out. And I said, I'm glad the tattoo thing is cleared up now. It was actually for his rehab, and I think he got it as, like, a symbol. And then I said, why did Ethan run off when Thayer showed up? Which is super suspicious. Like, he was just like, bye, disappear. And it's like, aren't you going to come in? Aren't you going to walk her to her door? Like, kind of weird. Like, why do you not want to be seen by Ethan? By Thayer. Why does Ethan not want to be seen by Thayer? So that is all my notes on book 3. Definitely let me know what you guys thought of the book. By the point you see this, I've finished it. So if you guys want to talk about later books in the series and that those book reviews aren't up, you can always, you know, direct message me or something like that on, like, my Facebook page, which is linked in the down bar, anything, and we can discuss that, because I'll be wanting to discuss this earlier than this review will be up. So let me know, and I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.